What's going on, guys? So, I've got the garage rearranged a little bit. Got the kind of chassis pushed over, dragged the body out. So, before it goes on the chassis again, I was going to start doing some metal work and all that. I'm thinking this weekend, I should say, I might go over to see Half-Ass, because I bought the bead roller, I bought a shear, and actually on his video, we were making a little tool stand. I gotta finish that on my end, so I got a little lazy, but bring that back and I can start using it, because there's a lot of metal work to be done on this thing. Like the bottoms of the doors and all that are kind of non-existent, and it's gonna need floors and all that kind of supports. The deck lid you finish, there's a lot to do, so I kind of got a couple days to kill. So what I was thinking, I can, do the firewall maybe and stuff like that, but when I go to his place, I want to louver some things. So I'm thinking I might spend, it's actually already kind of late tonight, but cut out the visor. So I've been a little looking around. It seems like, I guess, a lot of these visors are maybe just some sort of material or leather or something like that, vinyl, I don't know what they had back then. And it kind of tucks under, and then the roof would go over, and the roof kind of line followed here. So I don't know what I'm going to do, because I kind of want an open top, or maybe just canvas or something like that. So I think I'm going to start, just kind of cut out a piece of sheet metal, roughly it'll fit on here. I might put a little bend on it so it fits flat across there and weld it all in. But get the piece kind of where I want it, just get it clamped on. I can mark it for where I want all the louvers, and because I want to louver the crap out of it. Then worst case, I can put a little fold there. And if I get that dialed in, maybe tomorrow, start working on this tail pan. Same thing, just do a sheet across, and I can kind of test fit those tail lights, and then where a license plate's going to be, and then kind of draw some lines. And I mean, ultimately, I'll just follow wherever the lines of the deck lid would be. So that's actually kind of cheating. It'll be nice and easy. But then I can bring that over there, punch a bunch of louvers in that as well. So at least I'll have kind of those pieces ready to go. And then I'll probably flip this thing on its lid and start doing a bunch of metal work. But I'll get started. I'll start cutting some sheet metal out, and we'll see how much progress we make tonight. So here is my visor, which I've kind of traced out, and I got my little center line. So I'm going to try and be fancy. We'll see how bad I fail to fit it inside, or just, kind of right up, so I can butt it up against there, weld it in there, and then be right in line with this. And the problem with this thing here is it's so wavy in and out. There'll be a little bit of customization, I guess, to make it work. And then here I made a little long, so it'll just kind of go out, fold over, and be done. I might just kind of tack it right to this edge. I'm not really too sure what I'm going to do yet, but I'll get her cut out and we'll see what she looks like. Alright, so here's what I ended up doing. I measured out the visor. Now it's kind of bent and tweaked and all that, so I just started at one spot, which I was going to kind of go with, and kind of got it fitting in. On the underside, I kind of started just trimming it with literally just a set of, hand shears. So you can see this is actually a dead straight edge, and it's not touching exactly, but this whole visor is all smashed and bent and everything, so I'll have to kind of push it together and do what I got to do. In the front, I just kind of clamped it down. This was real wavy, so I ended up just kind of by hand pushing it and bending it and doing whatever. So I'm pretty much happy with that. So I'm thinking I'll end up just kind of welding it in to the side, across the front or whatever. I marked the center, so that's where I'm going to start the first row of louvers, and then I'll go out from there. But I mean, that's that. It's got the kind of look, other than it's brand new metal on an old beater hot rod, but whatever, we'll fix that up. So I think that's where I'm going to leave this for tonight. Didn't really get a whole lot done, a lot of screwing around, a lot of cleaning, kind of stuff like that, story of my life. But so that's dialed in. Take that out to Half-Ass maybe on the weekend. Next thing I'm going to do, I'll have to pull this deck lid off, and I'll have to kind of do some trimming in here, because this kind of little belt line trim, there's actually steel that gets behind it, and it's still there. It was just kind of cut out actually. So I'm gonna have to get in there, kind of peel that back, cut it out, get some measurements as to what I want to do, and then yeah, shouldn't be too bad. It'll need as well a bit of a curve, not nearly as much as the deck lid, but I can I'll make it wide don't know if I'm going to end up going in or just up against it. I might just weld right up against the belt line, then just put a zip disc in there to give it the effect. But like I said, get that in there, because then I got to check the brake lights and a license plate. Once you have those in there, there's actually not going to be that many louvers really needed. So we'll see. Ultimately, I love louvers, so we'll keep going. I'll be back at her tomorrow night. What's going on, guys? So it's been a few days. I kind of went all over the place. I was going to bring this to Brent's and louver it. I went to Brent's and forgot that. Shocker. What I did do is I just put the video out with all this kind of stamp, the tools and all that. So I've just been actually messing around with the plenishing hammer and stuff. But so I'm gonna do a little bit of cleanup, and that's actually a really nice day out today. Shockingly nice. So I think while the weather's still decent, I can pop the door up. I'm gonna start working on the bottom sheet metal on this thing, and it's probably easier just to flip the thing right on its lid. So I'll clean it up a little bit, drag it out, flip it over, drag it back in, and then I can start messing around. Kind of down here, there's not a whole lot, but I mean, all in there, the bottoms of the doors are all finished, stuff like that. So definitely needs a little bit of love. I might get that kind of mostly done, because then I can get it back on the chassis. And once I do that, then I can put the motor in, get it where I want it, double check all that, figure out what kind of inner structure I want to keep, if anything or not. Some of it does have to be rebuilt, but I'm gonna have to cut a lot of it out so I can fit the axle and all that sort of stuff, and firewall, all that kind of stuff. So I guess I'll probably weld in the firewall now, and then build around it, tunnel, all those sort of things. So ugly, boring sheet metal, but yeah, it'll look less haggard before you know it. Alright, got her flipped in her lid. So, yeah. It's not terrible. This side is definitely worse than the other side, so it must have been swamp in on this side. So, you know, a little bit here, I got to fix this kind of inner structure. Nothing too crazy. I am going to cut part of it out, because that's where the rear end's going to go. Obviously up in there as well. So this is kind of the only real complicated curve I guess I'm going to have to do, like a little in and out thing. And the bottoms of the doors are kind of Swiss cheesy, but at least I have this side, which is a fair bit nicer, so I can see exactly what it did look like. And it's just a little kind of garbagey back there, but nothing too crazy. This door actually still has some of the inner structure, so I can kind of make something there. And this part of the frame and all that's real nice, and up here is actually real minty too. It just needs one little patch in there. So I think we can get started on that, kind of take some of this junk out, cut some of this out. Maybe I'll just kind of grind it all down nice and plate over it, just with some of that thicker steel I was using to plate the frame actually. So I can just kind of put a little piece in, 'cause it still has the shape, so I can kind of make it where I want. Maybe you can cut it out, do whatever, give a little fold over, and yeah, I think it'll work out just minty. So I guess I'll get started on that. Go from there.
What do I do?
So I've cut my piece of metal out. It's actually quite a bit stronger than I thought it was going to be, and those all pitted, so I ground it down. I'm using the top and bottom, and I'm just kind of going to fill it in. So I've just clamped it in place, and I'm kind of rolling over the edge with the hammer. So Danielle's going to start that one, and just kind of trying to roll it over.
Why were you using this?
Because I couldn't get in. You don't need to do that. It should be okay. Use this side.
Is there a specific way I should do this?
No, just hit the edge so it rolls over and it's flat.
Do I need more force?
Yeah, hold the hammer down lower. There you go. Now smash it.
I thought I was going to hit myself in the face there. I got it. Like that?
Use the hammer in a funny way, but yeah.
What do you mean?
Smash it more of an angle.
Like this?
Yeah, but like, yeah. There you go. That's good. Now I'll just give it a quick buzz. Hold that. Teamwork.
This is a fun job.
I'll smash that part over.
Ah! I almost caught on fire.
These beach shop sweaters are fire resistant.
Oh, is that so?
I don't think you hit the same spot twice.
I got mad skill.
I don't quite think I meant it as a compliment.
Oh. Should I have hit the same spot twice?
Sure, it's fine. Smack it.
Getting tired.
Smack it. It's good. It's good. It's good. So I cut it right out here because that's where the axle's going to be. So I didn't bother making a plate. I'll have to make some sort of kick or something on the other side. So now smash it over. Yep.
Keep going?
Oh yeah.
Danielle, smash!
Do it. Okay. We gotta clamp that over. Hold this.
Oop.
Excellent. So now just roll that bit over. Same thing we were doing. Okay, gentle, gentle. So there you go. A custom Model T panel. So now let's kind of buzz this all in the rest of it. I gotta do some trimming on the back side, and once I flip it back over, I'll weld it on the top.
Is there more to hammer?
For right now, I think we're done.
Oh. I like the hammering part.
Yeah, we'll be right back. So I've jumped ahead a little bit. I've welded this top piece in, the little frame section. I cut out a little section here. It's going to be the wheel well. Now there's still the rusty metal behind it, and it's still obviously just kind of loose. So all I did was I just took a box and I kind of traced out about what I want to do. It's a little bit higher, so I can then roll that edge over. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to kind of mark this, cut most of the metal out, leave something I can screw into, and kind of just work my way around, tack it all in. Then I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, this is the kind of complex piece, which I have to use that, I think, the stretcher shrinker and I don't know, something. I'm going to do this in 3 pieces, so the main piece there, this will just be flat, and it does roll around, but I can just kind of hammer that out, slide it in, and then same thing, it'll just kind of weld on there. And then this little piece in there. So, I don't know whether it's right or wrong. I mean, it's a bunch of small pieces. It'd be nice to do it all in one large section or 2, but I'm not that skilled yet. So I'm going to get this kind of cut out and just kind of roughly weld it in so I know what it's going to be. Again, I'm not doing too crazy because some of this is going to be cut out where the rear end's going to end up sitting once we lower it. So there's my panel. I just got it screwed in. There's a bunch of kind of funny curves in this thing, but the other side's the same, so I'm going to roll it. So that's that. I'm going to kind of smash this over. I'm going to clamp it, and I'll smash it over, kind of tack weld it so it'll have the same rolled edge that the original panel did. And then I can just kind of start tacking it a little bit, and then I'll start pulling these out, and I'll just kind of zip cut right on the edge and the whole way around, and then that'll be kind of welded in. That's my plan anyways. So we'll see how she goes. So it's in. I gotta, you know, get the gap and all that, but yeah, it worked out pretty good. I got all the self tappers out. Actually, you know who I learned that from? There's a guy, another channel you guys might like. He's another Canadian guy. He's out in BC. Old Time Garage. It's YouTube. His name's Rick. Good guy. He does that same thing. He does quarters. He just kind of stitches it along, follows it through, and goes from there. So I'm happy with it. I leveled this out. Just kind of zipped it off. Probably give this a couple of quick tacks. I had to fight to get the inside crap out because it was on there pretty good, but so that was like in there. So that's all out. The next thing I'm going to do is try and make this piece. So we'll see. Luckily, I have the other side in good shape, so I should be able to kind of at least mimic what it's going to look like. So I think I'm just going to take a piece of sheet metal, kind of roughly fold it actually right on the car itself, and then maybe if I have to, I can stretch or shrinker it to kind of curve it in. But I believe it's probably going to start off kind of thick and end up kind of thin, much like the back does. And then once I get that on there, it'll have like this little edge, hopefully an inch or whatever, all the way up to there. Then I can just make my panel there, flat panel, roll it over, and then a pile of welding. So I'm just going to tackle it all in, but then I can grind it, and it'll look just like new-ish. Alright, let me show you what I'm up to. So I took this just scrap piece of sheet metal I had. I actually bent it on the workbench, so it had kind of a softer curve, not a dead 90, because that's how this kind of is. I then went to the other side, and I put it on kind of upside down, because it's going to be a mirror image of it. But now you can kind of see about where it's going to start and about where it's going to end. I also measured the flat panel is exactly 12 inches where this is going to start, which makes sense actually. It's right where this little curve is. So I'm going to trim this just with the with some hand shears so it will fit. So that's what I'm going to have it kind of look like. And yeah, it's going to have to curve in a little bit. So we'll see how much progress I make. And then I'm hoping I should be able to kind of, in my mind anyways, I should be able to shrink this inside one, and it should kind of pull it in and over. But we'll see what happens. So change of plans. All I did was I took it, I put it on this section of the curve, and I beat on it until it kind of had a bit of a curve that I think is happy. So I'm going to knock it in a little more. I did short this panel right here, so I'll have to build a little one in there. Then I can zip that straight down, the little panel across. This is just ugly tack welded on, so I'll have to kind of cut out around it and force it all in. But it's got a pretty simple curve, and then once I do that, I can have the piece go up and wrap over, and that'll just be a rectangle. Very simple, that one. So I'm a little pissed off I boned that. I should have really had that foresight. Looking back now, and I'm sure you guys have already said it out loud and probably put it in the comments, I should have just made one that fit the other side and then mirrored it here. But hey, the next Model T I do will know that. But I'm actually pretty stoked on that, so I'll probably just cut this out. It'll push in a little bit, and then I can weld it, and then just build one little shark tooth. I think that's the what they call it. And then yeah, fold her over and call her for tonight, probably. Get some supper. Well, as a bonehead, I ran out of welding gas. I changed the tank, forgot to turn the camera back on. But, so that's where I ended up. I just kind of welded it in and carried on. I started building this little panel. So, again, it's just kind of a flat piece. I put a bit of a crown in it, just because it kind of has that. I chopped out the corner so it fits around this little rivet. And I kind of partly folded the edge there. You can see it's got a bit of a curve to it. So next I'm going to do is kind of try and cut some of this out. I should be able to kind of fit this in, and then I think I can get in the back and kind of weld it in on the little seam. Otherwise I'll just weld it to the doorpost. And fold the top over, same thing. So it'll be kind of something like that. And carry on. So it's, the rust stopped right around the kind of 4-inch mark. I think I went 5. I'll just zip it across, buzzer in, and then yeah, it'll just need a pile of welding and grinding, but overall it's coming together pretty quick. So got this piece kind of knocked in there. Gonna have to square it up just a little bit, but it's good enough for me. Danielle came home rather than supper right away, so I'm gonna take a bit of a break. But after supper I'll probably come in, finish welding everything, get it kind of cleaned up a little bit, good enough for some filler or something, and go on. But it's actually going together pretty good. This was the hard side. The doors, they're definitely a little intimidating because I don't know exactly what they're supposed to look like. So I have to do a little Googling on that. I might skip the doors and carry on to the cowl section because that looks like it's pretty simple and straightforward, much like this. But yeah, I'll be back in a few minutes and we'll finish this sucker off. Ugh, tacos. Too many. Alright, so where did we leave off? I guess I'm just gonna start welding. So I'll set up the camera, buzzer all in, grind her down, and call it for tonight and this video. So I think I probably got enough junk that we'll be good to the next one. Well, there we go. So an evening of work, and yeah, it's good enough for some filler. I mean, it's just going to be kind of roughed out and primered, whatever I'm going to do. Still needs a little bit more kind of touch-up welding and stuff like that. I didn't get in the door jamb because I don't know how I'm going to get in there just yet. So it may end up just being slit, welded, and then kind of formed with the grinder. Like I said, these doors, gotta do a little Googling. I guess I assume this is probably the inner structure. This folds over, and then the outside must go up, curve back, and then go back down. So I'll do a little looking around and see. The front's gonna be easy. It'll be the same thing. Roll over. I'll have to, you know, fix this little panel, make it look a little nicer, and then just weld to it. But that'll be no big deal. Top and bottom, fill in the cowl, and then the other side that you guys saw is actually pretty minimal rust. So it's just the doors that are kind of my only worry at this point, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. So that's it for this one. I don't know, I guess there'll be another couple videos of rust repair. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment below. This shear, I gotta say, I got this thing off Amazon. A Kaka. Loved it. That's one of the best investments I've ever made. So if you guys don't have one, you're doing metal work, buy one. Brent recommended it, and he was dead right. So, I'll see you guys on the next one.